Hey, what's up, everybody? You're tuned into the Rebel TA podcast with Camille Tate. Camille is the head of talent over at Strava. She's also a podcaster herself. What's up, Camille?
Hey, Brandon. Thanks. I'm so glad to be here. Finally, we get a chance to catch up. So thanks for having me.
Oh yeah, I'm psyched. We're just gonna cut it up today a little bit. I'm a big fanboy of everybody over at Strava. This has been a long time coming for me, but
Yeah.
for folks that may not know who you are, like where are you based and what are you working on?
Hi, everybody. I'm so glad to be here. I'm glad to be talking to you all today. I'm Camille Tate. I'm the head of talent at Strava. If you don't know what Strava is, it's your center for connected fitness, place where you concentrate on your wellness and your health. So we're growing as a community, and I've been at Strava for 4 years. But I've been in talent acquisition for 20 years in June. That's a long time.
Dang,
Kind of dating myself, Brandon. So yeah.
the big two.
Yes.
Uh,
20 years of talking to people and building relationships every single day, which is why I hate talking on the phone now because I'm always on the phone. But yeah, I've been in talent for a long, long time. Worked for numerous tech companies. I enjoy it, which is why I'm still in it. I'm based in Dallas. I've been in Dallas for 12 years, and I'm originally from Detroit, so the Motor City. But
there you
yeah, I'm
go.
here now and loving my work at Strava, and just continuing the work of bringing great people to the company.
Strava is Swedish for stride or
Yes, it is.
strive.
Strive.
Strive like ambition, not stride like running. Okay, cool,
Yes.
cool. I like the way you described just the product too. Like I'm a user of the product for forever, it seems. And I think that 2025 for me is all about like a mind, body, spirit
Yes.
balance. What about
Yes.
you? How are you thinking about mind, body, spirit going into
Yeah,
2025?
exactly that. I think we just talked about this before we went live, but we talked about being busy, right? And last year I was busy, but I'm trying to adjust that. One of our big, ABCs we call them, or values at Strava, is balance. And I think I put pressure on myself to do things in excellence and do things to the best of my ability. And sometimes you can busy yourself and then forget about yourself. And so I kind of am in line with you, Brandon, in terms of balance and thinking about your health and wellness. I work, at a company, of course, where everyone around me, not everyone, you don't have to be an athlete to work at Strava. Some people load up their activity on Strava and it's just walking their dog, and that counts too, right? So I aim to have more balance, to get outside more, connect with nature, and just to focus inward so that I'm a better person on the outside.
I love that. I feel like for a long time, particularly in the SaaS world, in the tech world, it's been booked and busy, the
Yes.
catchphrase of
Yes.
how we tie our identity to who we are
Yes.
as people. So maybe I'll
Yeah.
I'll have to come up with a better catchphrase maybe after my next coffee for what the mantra is for 2025.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of the things that I love about Strava, since we're talking about it, is I remember working in the fitness software industry and sourcing like engineers for on-site work.
Hmm.
And I was like sourcing using Strava. And now you guys launched the messaging functionality in the platform. It's like, dang, where was this 5, 6 years ago? I would have loved this.
Hey, would have made your life a little easier.
But it's interesting how it is more of a community product now
Yeah.
versus like just being for triathletes and bros that had heart rate monitors,
Yeah.
optimizing every piece of their life.
Yeah.
So I think it's cool the way you talked about it being a community. What does community mean to you?
Community is, first of all, I think it's a privilege to have community because it's something that you intentionally build, right? And I love that about community. And we give people the ability to curate and build their own community. We say at Strava, people motivate people, right? And I think that is not just on our platform, but in our company. I am motivated by, even though I can't run a 5 minute mile, I am clapping and applauding my teammates for being able to do that. That's amazing. So it motivates me to get up and walk around the block, even though I'm not running a marathon. But I think that it's so important to have community that kind of drives you to be your best self. That's so important. And that's the whole purpose of Strava. But community is something you build. It's something that you put intentionality into, your time, your effort, and that you receive back from. So it's kind of like that positive exchange. That's how I think of community.
There's an interesting dynamic at play, the way you just described community.
Mm-hmm.
And it's in the fact that Strava as a product took off during the pandemic and
Yeah.
had increased active users when we were isolated from one
Yeah.
another.
Yeah.
And now we're getting back into the world and to just connect with people. I think there are new ways of doing that. And
Mm-hmm.
to me, Strava is one of the unique online digital spaces that
Mm-hmm.
actually builds a sense of that
Mm-hmm.
social benefit of
Yeah.
community, not just connectivity and
Mhm.
proximity to being advertised to.
Yeah. I think so. And I love that about the product. This is why I continue to, work at Strava. So I appreciate that about what we're trying to build here. Yeah, we definitely saw an increase in people building community, especially outdoors during the pandemic. But, I think that's going to continue to grow. I think that people are really trying to get outside, get outdoors. You see run communities, cycling communities, all
Yeah.
these different communities popping up. I mean, I'm not a runner or a cyclist. And I know people would think, oh, you got to do this, like I said, to work at Strava, but you don't. I actually do a group class workout that integrates with Strava. So it doesn't matter what you do, you can find yourself at Strava.
That's cool. I think the piece that is fascinating to me when I think about Strava as a product and a company and your role, like you've been there for a minute now,
Yeah.
but you've been there through some leadership changes as
Yeah.
well. What is that like as a talent leader and to see a team that has had like ups and downs and new leadership? How do you continue to deliver like a great employee value proposition through the messaging that you're living?
Yeah. I mean, I think that, any company you work for is going to go through ups and downs and changes, especially a consumer based company, more subscription based like us. We're, going to go through changes because, the people that are on our platform, it's a subscription base. They choose to be on our platform. And I think any tech company in the last 5 years, I would say, has been through a lot of changes. It's just, so I don't think that changes in leadership or just changes or pivots are unique to Strava. And I can say that from being a person that's been in tech almost 20 years, has been in talent almost 20 years in June, that is not unique. So for me, if I was in the beginning stages of my career, I would be like, oh my gosh, all the changes and things like that, just anywhere I would be. But because I'm kind of more seasoned in life and in work, I think that I take change as it comes, and then I have the ability to pivot. I think that with change comes also an increase in emotional intelligence. You're able to be proactive. You're able to educate yourself and make change along with whatever changes are happening in your environment. So for me, no matter what changes come wherever I am, I always saw myself as an entrepreneur in my seat. And I think for a lot of talent leaders, a lot of IC talent recruiters, that's kind of how you have to see yourself. I've always seen myself my whole career as someone that really is the manager of my career. And I think it's easier to do that when you're in talent, right? Because you have your own desk, you have your set of responsibilities, and you yield results, right? So no matter what change is going on outside, you're responsible for this work and these results. And so that's how I approach my work every day. So the things that happen around me, I just have to kind of focus on my work and look at it from a lens of entrepreneurship.
Love that. And I think that's what's great about being a recruiter and even earlier career recruiters can almost flywheel their business acumen in a
Yeah.
way that perhaps their peers in a different part of the business
Hmm.
may not be because you're talking to so many different stakeholders across the business. You're learning about operations. You know about all of the pieces in the puzzle that come together to make the company function. and you know what the individuals do and bring and the skills they have.
Mm-hmm.
There's also this idea of like during those changes, I've been through some of them myself, and recruiting can kind of be like that steady hand at the wheel.
Yeah,
Recruiting is always a high pressure, high stakes, high risk, high reward. The search could
exactly.
be over tomorrow, or it could be snap. I've got to spend another 10 hours building a pipeline over the next 2 weeks. So I think it's that ability that recruiters have to not shirk the responsibility or urgency
Mm-hmm.
in the service we deliver, that sometimes you have those conversations during moments of change where you're like, yeah, I got this. I've seen this. Like, I can do this. I'm not afraid of the
Yeah.
pressure.
Yeah.
Whereas maybe the HR side of the house, they're the ones that are like, okay, our hair's on fire. We've got these, complaints against us. We've got these cases. We've got these challenges.
Mm-hmm.
The
Always.
recruiters are
Yeah.
like the fun people at the party that the CEO or the new VP of engineering wants to talk to and be like, okay, what's really going on here?
Right.
What are the people like?
Right. I always think of hiring and recruiting. I always tell people it is not a microwave, it's an oven. We know you can get similar results with the microwave and the oven. You want, food hot and ready. But recruiting, if it's done well, it's more of an oven. And you want it to be that way because, and I was just telling our leadership this, and I tell people this all the time, headcount is a gift. Each headcount, there are ups and downs in the market. I've been through like 3 recessions now since I've been in this business, in this space. And headcount is literally a gift. We have, it's a gift to get resources for your team to make impactful decisions and do impactful work. And that's how you have to really think about if you only have one headcount for the year, right? Bring clarity to that role. What do you need? What impact is going to have on your direct team, on broader teams cross-functionally, and the business overall? And if you go too fast and make a bad hiring decision, then that impacts so much more than what the surface reveals. So I always encourage people to like slow down. I know time to feel it's been like a historically driven KPI or metric, but if you do it right, you're able to build community amongst your teammates and also build impact into what you're doing at your workplace.
You heard it here first, folks. Straight out of Camille's mouth. The metric for 2025 is time to chill.
Yes, I love that, Landon. I love that.
What are you seeing in the market right now, both when you talk to other recruiters, like how is your community feeling? And then also like, what are some of the things you're hearing about candidates that want to work at a hot tech company?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a lot of different things going in the market right now in terms of course, we're still seeing people on the market that have been on the market like 6 months to 18 months, right? And then you have people that are hesitant to kind of move jobs just because of the market itself. And then you have people that are ready to move, but they know that their skill set is competitive. And so they're creating, space in terms of compensation and things like that because they know that they are a hot commodity and they need whatever it is to move. So you have like multiple things happening in the market, which is interesting. But I think from people that want to work for a hot tech company, as you put it, I mean, I think you'll always have interest in tech, right? Especially people that kind of like the generation after me, grew up on computers, cell phones, they want to work in tech. That's where the money is. That's where the ability to move and grow is versus, other industries in a way. So I still think that there's an appetite for that. But I also see people kind of walking away from tech and wanted to do different things as well. So I think it's a mixed bag right now. I'm eager to see where this year or the next year goes in terms of what the market looks like. But I'm hopeful that people that have been unemployed, for a long time get what they're looking for in terms of job opportunities and that we can see more headcount, those gifts in the market.
Yep. Yeah, I love that. Headcount is a gift. That's going to be one of my mantras. It's
Mm-hmm.
almost like, okay, if we're going to have reduced headcount, we've only got X amount of shots on goal as
Yeah.
recruiters. And
Yeah.
how can we put forward the best effort with the best folks
Mm-hmm.
and really understand what our stakeholders need and
Yeah.
navigate that balance?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
When I think about the way you're talking about the market, I can't help but think about your team
Mm-hmm.
as a reflection of you, including some former folks.
Mm-hmm.
Um, how do you, as a talent leader, engage a team of recruiters and give them a place to live authentically and have the agency and autonomy to go build their own community
Mm-hmm.
as like a representative of Strava? Because that's
Ooh.
something that I have seen firsthand. You've had some amazing folks with you.
Yeah, yeah, I have. I had some of the best recruiters I've ever worked with, just not only in talent, but just in drive and personality and commitment. I really have. I'm really lucky to have my team here at Strava. Um, first of all, I love being a people leader. I think as I've gotten older, I'm glad I can say that because I always tell people, people leadership is not for the weak. It is not for the weak
No.
because especially if you do it intentionally, right? So I manage a distributed team now. So, making sure that I treat each person on my team as an individual, I think is a foundation for them kind of showing and proving who they are, showing up to work authentically. Yeah, we have processes. Yeah, we have the ways that we do things, but you put yourself into what we do. You put your personality into it. You do your thing. I am of the mind I hire mature adults to work for me. I've always been that way because I am not a micromanager by any sense of the word. I don't like being micromanaged, so I don't like to pass that along to my team. I like to hire people that are capable, they are mature, they think before they speak. They lean into, they know who they are, they lean into who they are, they have confidence, and I'm hands off. My job is to remove roadblocks, to create strategy, to problem solve, to put our heads together, but I give them agency to run their desk how they see fit. Luckily, my team, they are just as committed as I am. And I think that is a gap sometimes in a people leader and their teams, that the leader is committed and super high on life and ready to go. And then you have a team where some people are like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Then you have someone else that's, oh, yay. And then you have someone that's on fire. And then you just have to manage all these different types of degrees of commitment. I would say that across my team, we all have the same degree of commitment. And so I always tell people, people don't lose jobs or, they don't get performance managed out or things like that for skill set necessarily. In my 20 years in HR recruiting, a lot of the times people are not in good alignment with teams because of things that are more soft skills like attention to detail, communication, follow up, follow through, all of those things. You could be a great recruiter, but if you're not following up with people, you're not communicating to your hiring managers, all those things matter. And it has nothing to do with if you can find a candidate for a job. It's those things in between that process that really make the difference. And so that's what I look for in my team. And luckily, that's what I have. And I'm so grateful to have that. And I think that is like a key to our success because we're on the same wavelength in terms of commitment and kind of the soft skills in between the technical recruiting skill set.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
The work ethic of recruiters is for the great ones. It's unparalleled, and I think it trumps technical skill or technical knowledge
Yeah.
on some days.
Yes.
And when you say authenticity, I think of this TikTok that I saw once that I remember now as you were talking about that of two folks on your team like dancing in a San Francisco office. And it's just a reflection. Like if you are dancing at work, I think Ellen DeGeneres taught us that. Maybe she got some
Yeah.
stuff right. Maybe she got some stuff wrong, but like she taught us to dance every day. And like if you're dancing at work, that's probably a good thing. And what you described also, I think, has to do with candidate market fit and the values of the people that we identify and bring on to our
Mhm.
organization, like spanning outside of just building a recruiting team.
Yeah.
Do you think working in the fitness industry and just the natural ethos that fitness enthusiasts have plays an impact in those attributes you just described?
Think so. I mean, because like I said, I'm not what people would think of, oh, she works at Strava because, I think there's misconception, and I'm glad I'm having this conversation with you that, you have to be in fitness to be here. But I don't think that really plays into it. I mean, of course, that enthusiasm, and just the industry, I think it helps, but I don't think you have to be in it to be successful, because we're building for our community, not for ourselves, right?
Yeah.
And so that's how I really look at it.
I asked that because like I'm a tech bro, like I'm a fitness dude, like I'm always
Yeah.
into this like modality stuff, having worked
Yeah.
in the natural foods industry and being around this my entire life. So like I
Yeah.
think about these correlations. I'm like, oh, okay, well, like what are the long term and short term effects of like endorphins and the dopamine hits of like fitness, and what does that bring to your development life cycle? Like, is there any correlation?
I guess this has nothing to do with anything. This is just, I don't even know if this is like a correlation, but sometimes I see that, especially when our like teammates, when their hobby is like walking in nature or going for a run at lunch or going for a ride at lunch or doing a hit workout or something like that. That does scientifically, when you work out, it drives your endorphins. It traditionally like makes you a happier person. So I feel like I do work around a lot of happy people.
That's it.
That's something that we hear from our candidates when they come through our process. They're like, God, everybody's just really nice. Are people really that nice? And I'm like, yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I'm still here at Strava, because I work with some really great people. And I don't know, like I said, I don't know if people, we have like our workout Wednesdays and stuff like that. I don't know if that helps, kind of drive people's happiness because they're doing something they really like to do, or they got to go outside during lunch or in the morning before they started their day. I don't know if that, kind of correlates, but I tend to think that it does a little bit.
Where does your happiness come from?
Where does my happiness come from? I mean, it comes from inside, knowing who I am, knowing where I've come from and where I am today. And actually, it kind of goes back to what we were talking about in the beginning of our conversation, community. I think that all of those things historically have kind of made me who I am. I am just a naturally happy person. I think, I don't really get too riled up. Sometimes I do, but I don't really get too riled up. I'm hype kind of about everything. And I think, it's just how I was raised, and also the community that I have around me. And like I said, community is intentional. And so intentionally, I've built a community where I have support, where I have freedom, where I have, just like, go Camille, go, right? Where people I'm around, they're proud of me, whether I'm this big name success or whether I'm just affecting my local community. Like, I have that around me. So I think that makes a huge difference in my family. So it just makes a huge difference in my life, regardless of adversity. I can try to see the positive outcome of everything. I might have my moments where I'm kind of like down, and then I get back up because I remember who I am and I remember all those things I just said to you.
Talked about knowing where you come from.
Mhm.
What are you striving for?
What am I striving for? I think I strive to make difference in people's lives. I think that's why I was thinking about this. I'm like, I've been in recruiting for 20 years. Like, what else would I do? I have no idea. I feel like, and I know, we have great philanthropists and doctors and teachers and things like that. I really feel like recruiting and the relationships I've built and what I've done over my career, making a difference in somebody's life, in somebody's livelihood, the ability to take care of their family, the ability for them to do what they love. That is like a huge prize for me. And it's very humbling that I get to do this and impact people's lives in a way that it's gonna be long reaching impact in their lives. So I think, you know, that's kind of what I strive for every day.
That was so beautifully put. I couldn't agree more. You mentioned that you're an equality and equity advocate. Do you want to talk about what that means right now?
I just I mean, when I look at what I've been doing for the last 20 years and what I'll continue to do is give everyone access to the opportunities that are available. Everyone. You know, if you've never heard of Strava, we want you to know about Strava. If you've never heard that we have this software engineer opportunity, we want everyone to know about this software engineer opportunity. And I think that's always been my foundation, is just making sure that um, try to reach out to everyone and expose those opportunities that are available.
We're in such a fascinating time in HR where I keep hearing from my friends a lot of the challenges we're facing as leaders. What advice do you have for people leaders and recruiting leaders that have gone through these ups and downs and these cultural changes? Political cultural changes are a constant. But for somebody that's earlier in their career,
Yeah.
it may feel very big, and the implications at times can be. But what advice do you have for somebody who's learning to navigate this maybe for the first time?
Right. I think always, like I said, it's a great time to build your emotional intelligence. I always tell people, especially earlier career people, the power of observation is, I think, something that we don't talk about enough. You know, I think when people, and this is all levels of people, when you get into an environment or organization, you want to do all the things. And I get that, because you want to show people that you have impact. But I think in all situations, whether it's a stagnant things going around you or a lot of things or chaos, the power of observation is amazing. Because I was just talking to my son about this, and we were just talking about like when things don't happen the way he wants them to go in class, and he's in first grade and they're practicing self-control, right? Stop, right? And I'm like, that's amazing, because we got
Let
in,
me get some of that.
world, right? And so the power of observation, the power to just really think, take it all in, not get overwhelmed, because no matter what, ups and downs, outside, inside, things change. Change is just the way of our world. And the power of observation is because it gives you clarity in observation and just reading the room, clarity, a sense of direction. You can find that out for yourself. So not always being eager to do all the things or working yourself up or wanting to get in. And, it is, you said it's the year of chill. So it's just being calm and also reaching out to people that can help you, right? Just reach out to people that can help you. You can't do everything yourself. I know we as humans, we like to think so, but we all will not be walking this earth if we were made to be alone. So that's where your community comes in. Especially you said early career, if you don't have that community, you need to start building that. If it starts with friends and family, that's what it starts with. And we can branch out to your corporate community. But observation and community, and mentorship in that community. That is what is important, to just really, keep focused, keep calm, and kind of, it's gonna rise. You're gonna have the ebbs and flows. But I think that's the smart way to kind of approach things.
OCM, we need it on a hat. Community mentorship. It's so true. Like, I'm an extroverted dude, but I've seen that in the last couple of years. Like, I just started hitting up folks that I admired in the space or saw that were on LinkedIn or whatever, and just started reaching out to folks. And yeah, it's not 100% with people that I like wanted to connect with, but I'm always surprised by the people who have invested in me and been interested. And I think that's that's a huge piece of all of this is like the recruiting community is pretty small. If you put yourself out
Yeah, it
there,
is.
we're helpful. We want to teach people. And I think there's probably folks like me where it's like, okay, well, some folks who have worked in tech for a little bit, maybe they don't have a ton of opportunities to build a big team
Mm,
because hiring is slowed down. There's
right.
still a lot of ways to get involved and
Hmm.
to mentor and answer questions
Yeah.
in a variety of forums, whether it's in person at events, whether it's starting a podcast, whether it's having an online community.
Yeah.
You've built community. Do you want to talk a little bit about the community that you've built when it comes to like your podcast and the work you're doing with your sister?
Yeah, sure. Well, we're going, this year, we're going on our 8th season of the Career Salon podcast with the HR twins. So we're super excited. We had so much momentum. And we're always excited. Some people ask, what do you do for hobbies? And I'm like, I do an HR recruiting podcast with my sister. And they're like, that is not a hobby. And I'm like, to us it is because we're so passionate about it. Um, so we're going into our 8th season, 2025. Last year, we're kind of ups and downs because we're moms, a lot to work. And so we give ourselves grace. But this year, we're on it, going into our 8th season. You know, the Career Salon podcast, it all started because I see podcasts and blogs popping up, and people were just giving horrible advice. And I was like, oh my gosh, we need to tell people like how it really is in HR recruiting, and also, see how people like have made it in their careers, what their trajectory was, what their background was. If they switch industries, how did they do that? Things like that. So it's so important to us to share what we know with others and allow people as well to share what they know with others. And that's how we build community. It only helps that we're twins and we're both. If you were like, you both are in HR, and like, yes, I'm in recruiting, I'm in talent, and my sister is in HR, she wouldn't want to do talent and I wouldn't want to do HR. So we are perfectly good with our delineation of job responsibilities, but we find that happy medium. It all started because I just wanted to, like I said, reflect the community that I found growing up. My dad was a barber. And back in the day, I'm not going to tell you how old I am, but back in the day, the barber shop was and the salon, with my mom, the
Sure.
barber shop and the salon was a center for community, for people to get
Mm,
together, to talk about sports, what's
yes.
going on in the world, all of those things. And I'm like, I want to do that with like the HR recruiting space. And
Oh
so
my
that's how
gosh.
the career salon came to be, because it's a nod or homage to my parents and kind of how we grew up, with my dad hanging around on Saturdays while he cut hair, watching people play checkers and talk about like the football game and just all the things, and just being like this and hearing all the wisdom and the stories from these sage men getting their haircut. So that's where that came from. And so we think that we're continuing kind of like the legacy of how we grew up.
I love that so much. I had no idea. Hearing you say this is incredible, and I can feel the passion coming through the mic. That's what recruiting is all about. It's storytelling and interacting with
Yes,
people.
yes.
It's got one of those lower barriers to entry from a
Yeah.
like corporate career,
Yeah.
and recruiting has done so much for me.
Yeah. Same.
Love hearing that.
Hmm.
So I would challenge anybody out there to reflect how they're building community in those ways. And also the strong value of family is cool too. My pops was a community banker and my mom was a nurse educator. And so when I
Wow.
reflect back on it, I'm like, oh yeah, no wonder I'm social and going to events and selling things and also invested in people's careers.
Yeah.
So thanks for calling that out. That's a good reflection piece for me in the moment.
Oh, good, good. Yeah, I love telling it. I don't know if we tell it enough, like how it came to be. It's really a labor of love, right? And hopefully, people that listen to our podcast get something out of it. We hear that it brings people joy. That's what we want to do. HR, recruiting, it's not boring. It's invigorating. And, some people have their preconceived notions about HR and, you can't trust HR and HR is just they're like paper pushers, policy, things like that. And I like to, break that like myth bust, right?
Yeah.
Around that because we are really passionate about our work and we hope that comes through on the podcast when we do it.
You said you don't want to do what she does. She doesn't want to do what you do. Why do you think HR folks don't want to do recruiting?
I mean, some HR folks do, do recruiting, but my sister is more, she loves like helping people navigate like their path and career, as far as like once they're in, at work, right? The employee relations, the whole performance management, all of that. She loves that. I'm not like a spreadsheet, 9-box type of, I like to hire people. I don't like to manage people out. I mean, I have done it, but, I think my job is all joy until you have to decline a candidate. And so if it's that one piece that's not as joyful, but the rest of it is joy. And I feel like, that's all me. So I think and my sister, be on the phone all day, selling the company, selling the job, having conversations with candidates, from sun up to sundown. She just does it. That's not her jam. And I get it. I think that you should do what you're passionate about. Recruiting and HR is something that if you don't have empathy, if you don't have a passion for people, you definitely should not be in those roles because it really, like I said, it's serious. It impacts people's lives. So if you are not empathetic, if you don't want to build community, if you don't want to see people succeed and people thrive in their careers, it's something that you shouldn't do.
Camille, you're top right 9-box all day. High potential, high performance. My cheeks hurt from smiling. So like whatever that happiness you've got going, it's working for me too. Let me flip it. What do you think recruiters need to do in order to continue to make that impact in the business? Mm-hmm. And what do you think it is in recruiters that makes them kind of shy away perhaps from traditional HR type responsibilities?
I think that recruiters need to learn the business. A lot of recruiters, some people are like, oh my gosh, that's easy. All I have to do is like call people up for this job and like putting butts in seats. No, that's not what this is. I very much see my role, my team's role as a big part of the overall organizational strategy. And to be a part of that, to see yourself in it, you have to know the business. So whenever there are like calls or meetings and it's like optional because you're not really in that vein, go to it, learn the business, meet your stakeholders. If you don't understand something, yes, it's important that recruiters see themselves as business leaders. I always say that's like a downfall of our kind of industry, our space, is that it's so run that people forget to slow down, observe, and be in the business. Because it's like, if you don't see the connection between, hey, we have these OKRs, we have these KPIs, we have these things we want to achieve. How are we going to get there? Oh, we have this headcount. If you don't see the correlation of making an impact on those OKRs, those KPIs, the growth and scale of a company, then how are you going to be successful in your role? I also think it's a disservice to candidates for you to show up to a conversation with them, not understanding the business in which you represent. So I think that's super important that you need to understand the business. That's super important. And what was your second question, Brandon?
Why do you think we shy away perhaps from that and that recruiters might not want to do HR stuff?
Maybe, I don't know. I guess some things I've heard just from people around in the industry is like HR maybe, like I said, have the reputation for being slow moving, a lot of administrative work and things like that. And I think that's just a perception, maybe what they experienced in their organizations. And maybe that deters them from wanting to be in HR. I mean, I've had the privilege to kind of do both. I just, lean more to the recruiting side. I can tell you that, I mean, both can be exciting and engaging. But like I said, it's all about how you manage and drive your career.
Yes.
If you're not going into your work thinking that you're the driver of your career, I can see how a perception can be heavily influenced upon you not wanting to do something.
Yes, 100%. And I think we can break down both of those stigmas around the other person's role and find ways to leverage technology to double down on the things we are good at and get incrementally better at the things that perhaps we shy away from or can even automate out with the advancement of AI and more. Thanks for weighing in on that. That was something I was curious about. I have truly enjoyed this conversation today.
Hey, same, Brandon. I'm glad we caught up.
Do you have one piece of tactical advice for somebody who might be listening to take to their job tomorrow?
One piece of tactical advice. I think I've kind of already given it because I just feel like it's the lesson of observation and just kind of being observant to know what next steps are for yourself, right? In any given situation. So that's a piece of tactical advice, and specifically for our recruiter friends, right? I think from what I've seen the talent acquisition space morph over 20 years, right? One thing I think that recruiters need to remember is that, yes, we sell the company, we sell to the candidate, we sell the job, we talk. But one thing we need to not forget is to listen. That could be the greatest thing a recruiter can do is listen. And that's to the hiring manager, to the business, as well as to the candidate. So that's my piece of tactical advice. Listening.
That's how a recruiter could do more with less in 2025, hands down.
Yes.
Dang, Camille, this has been a blast. Thank you so much for coming on. How can people stay in touch with you?
Yeah, they can visit our website, thecareersalon.com. I'm also on LinkedIn. So, people connect with me there. Just say you heard me in my conversation with Brandon and we can connect. So, yeah, that's how you can find me.
Are you talking at any industry events this year?
I have a couple things coming up, maybe, that I'm solidifying. I definitely post everywhere I'm speaking on LinkedIn to give people an opportunity to come join me. So find me there on LinkedIn.
Any open roles at Strava you want to plug, give airtime to?
Yeah, we have a lot of open roles. If you're an engineer in any capacity, server, iOS, Android, you name it, let's see, we have partnerships roles. We have a workplace manager role. So we have roles in San Francisco. We have roles in Denver. We have roles in Berlin.
Amazing.
So check out our career site, strava.com/careers.
Well, Camille, thanks for everything you do to strive each day.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.